Open your book to page 379. Today's lesson is to find the distance between any 2 points and the midpoint of the segment between the 2 points. So let's go over how to find the distance first. So if you have horizontal distance like a number line, and so if you're going to figure out the distance between like this point and this point, for example, to find the distance, all you have to do is you just subtract the number and you take the absolute value up to that. So again, subtract the number. Normally, it's easier if you use the number on the right minus the number on the left. So use the end point minus the beginning points. So distance, if it's on a straight line, you just subtract. So it'll be 5 minus 2, so distance will equal to 3. Okay, so just subtract. Same thing with the vertical. So this is the x. If you're doing the y, you're doing the same thing. Okay. So again, it can be any number. It doesn't matter what the number is. So again, if you try to figure out the distance between this point and this point, okay. So again, it's easier if you remember distance is the absolute value, right? So it doesn't matter if you use a lower number minus the higher number, but it's easier if you do it that way, so you don't have to worry about negative, right? So in this case, the distance will equal to 14 minus 11, so distance equal to 3. So if the distance is vertical or horizontal, you just subtract the 2 points and you get a distance. Okay, but when you get to the two-dimensional, let's say you have this point over here, and you have this point over here. Okay, then you have this distance over here. Now to find this distance, because it's not horizontal and it's not vertical, so you have to use Pythagorean Theorem. And so again, so the distance for Pythagorean Theorem, you know, is a squared plus b squared equal to c squared, right? But sometimes you can go and write a c squared on this side. And so basically, it's the distance of, so A is like this distance over here, B is like this distance over here, and C is over here, right? Use your Pythagorean theorem. So in this case, now remember we already learned from the horizontal distance over here, right? The vertical distance over here. So if you go to page 380, the distance formula. So this is P1, this is P2. So the distance between P1 and P2 is equal to square root of, because like, think of here, right? If you're talking for C, you have to take the square root, right? Right? So it's the same idea. So this came from Pythagorean theorem. So how are you going to find A? Well, we already did this, right? So this is going to be x2 minus x1, right? From here, right? See, that's your x1 and that's your x2, right? So x2 minus x1 will give you the horizontal distance. And this is your y2, this is your y1, right? So it gives you vertical distance. So same idea. So x2 minus x1 will give you the A, and you have to square that, right? Pythagorean theorem, right? So you can so this is your x2 and this is your x1, right? Because over here that's your x, so that's your x2, y2. That's your x1, y1, right? Because this is your first point, second point. So when you go straight down, so that's your x2, right? Distance. Okay. Then you do the vertical, so this to get horizontal distance, use the x to minus, right? To get this distance over here, you just minus. So it'll be y2 minus y1, right? And you have to square because of the Pythagorean theorem, like a squared plus b squared, right? So this came from Pythagorean theorem. So you subtract the x to get the horizontal distance, that's your A. You subtract the y to get the vertical distance, and that's b. And so you got a squared plus b squared, and you take the square root, and that's your c, right? So you can Pythagorean theorem. Okay. Now, to find a midpoint, you just average the two. So let's say if you have the 2 points, right? to find this midpoint over here, so that's your P1, that's your P2. So to find the midpoint, you just average the 2 points. So midpoint, the coordinate would be x1 plus x2 divided by 2, right? This your x1, y1. That's your x2, y2. So you got 2 points. So to find the midpoint, you add, right? You add, divide by 2 to find the x coordinate for the midpoint. To find y, again, you average the 2. So you got y1 plus y2 over 2. And that's how you find the midpoint. Okay. So let's go over some examples. So let's go to example 1. Example 1, you're looking for the distance between, so you got P1 is negative 4, 1, and P2 is 3, 0. Okay. So you don't have to sketch, but if you sketch it out, you got negative 4, 1 over here, and you got 3, 0. Okay. So the distance would be, if you already sketched it out, you can just use Pythagorean Theorem. So this is 1. So this is 7. So a squared plus b squared. So this distance would be equal to square root of 1 squared plus 7 squared. So equal to square root of 50. So distance is equal to 5 square root of 2. Okay. So that's if you use the graphing. Now let's say if you don't sketch it out. If you don't sketch it out, then use a formula, right? So P1, P2, that means the distance between P1 and P2 is equal to square root of, okay, so that's your x1, y1, x2, y2, right? So you just go and subtract. So 3 minus negative 4, right? 3 minus negative 4 square, right? Notice where the 7 came from, right? See over here? Okay. And plus 0 minus 1 square, right? So that's where that 1 came from, right? Because remember, it's absolute value, right? So you're going to get 7 square, so it's 49. Negative 1 square is 1, so same thing, right? So P1, P2 equal to 5 square root of 2, okay? So you can do either method. You can sketch it out and just go and look at a graph and just go 1, 7, then just a squared plus b squared, or you can just go straight with your coordinate, okay? Either way. Okay, now let's go to example 2. Okay, example 2, you have the 2 points, negative 3, 4, and 5, negative 1, and you're looking for the coordinate of the midpoint. So again, the midpoint, you just average the 2, right? So you just go and add, divide by 2. So 5 plus negative 3 give you 2, divide by 2, you get 1, right? Over here, you add, you get 3, divide by 2, so you get 3 over 2, and that's it. Okay, that's how you find the midpoint. You just add, divide by 2, you add, divide by 2, and that's it. Okay, again, midpoint is very, very simple. Okay. Okay, so let's go and do some practice. Okay, let's